What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the quarantine zone again, and this time we are here with Ben of Endseeker. Thank you so much for your time today. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, we got the brand new album, Mount Carcass, scheduled to come out this April via Metal Blade Records. Do you consider this just like a direct continuation from what we heard off of The Harvest, or do you consider this almost like a new beginning for Endseeker in a way?
It's not a new beginning. It's a continuation of our developing process as musicians. Of course, Mount Carcass is different than The Harvest. I think The Harvest is more proggy, more complex, maybe a little more stressful for the listener. So it requires more work from the listener to get into this. Mount Carcass is a little straighter than The Harvest. It's more punky, more crusty, I think, more straightforward, maybe even more aggressive due to that, and it's I think it's very diverse. Yeah, more
What
open, more organic.
was this like a preconceived idea, or did kind of like Mount Carcass happen like very organically, like a lot of as I like to say, happy accidents, if you will?
Well, it's a mixture of both. You know, we were talking about the new record before we started songwriting, and we were talking about like, okay, let's make it a little more simple. So let's make it a little more straight, and not too crazy. And the song structures, let's make it fun to play and stuff like that. And then from there on, everything just happened. You know, we pretty soon got into the zone and the songwriting where it just flows, and everything fell into place, and the songs were done pretty fast, and it was great fun to work on them. And it was a good distraction from all the shit, you know, like 30 plus shows canceled due to COVID last year and stuff, so we weren't able to tour The Harvest, and instead we wrote a new record.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of good music, I feel like. I mean, now is the time to write fucking pissed off, angry music. So, you know,
Definitely.
yeah. Even when shows return, I'm not sure if I kind of want to enter the mosh pit just yet. I feel like it's gonna be like a war zone.
Man, I'm at the first concert that's when it's reopened again. You know, I regret every concert that I didn't go to because I was too lazy. You know, and like COVID showed us, it can be gone like this. You know, they can shut everything down whenever they want, and suddenly it's gone. And uh, I can't wait to concerts be possible again.
Yeah, concert resolutions. Never ask what time the headliner is going on or the band that you want to see is going on. Just get to the show very early. Be sure to
Yeah,
buy merch if you can, and really like get to the show early. Don't leave the show early after they play your favorite song. Don't
right.
chill at the bar the whole time and tell the band great set even though you were just looking at the fancy beers that they've had the whole time.
Man, that's yeah, absolutely. That's the absolute correct mindset. You know, show some support, show some respect for every band that shows up and stuff, and listen to that. Enjoy the music, have a good time, and yeah, just celebrate music. You know, that's what it's about.
Mhm. Going back to Mount Carcass, do you feel that the first single that you released, Unholy Rites, maybe serves as like a clear representation of what the entirety of Mount Carcass will sound like, or is that just one little taste of it, one little representation?
Oh well, I mean, it has a lot of the elements that are contained in the rest of the record as well. So we have like up tempo beats and a strong melody. That's a great hook, and we have interesting breaks and stuff. So there's a lot of stuff going on. We have a groove part in it, and we thought what made it the perfect first single for us is just the fact that it has some kind of an uplifting vibe. You know, somehow the song makes you move or makes you want to move, and it's like what I call the party death metal track of the record. You know, it's I don't know, it's straightforward, and it has these cliche zombie lyrics, which is a little bit untypical for us, but we thought it's a great fun track, and we wanted to start off with something positive, so something that the people can really celebrate and enjoy. And yeah.
Congratulations, you've made the accomplishment. Because I listen to Unholy Rites, I call it the happiest death metal song ever.
Oh, cool, great, thanks. Mission accomplished.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Cheers.
You got to do like a band photo shoot now, where you're all just like smiling in a way, just like we are Endseeker. We, evil music for happy people.
That's right. That's right. Because we are like, you know, when you've seen the video now, it's a goofy video with like this trash horror movie kind of vibe in it, and people who know us know that we're kind of funny guys. It's like fun to hang out with us. We don't want to pretend to be the tough guys, or whatever. So we don't take this too serious. We make music because we want to have fun, and we also want the people to have fun. And so yeah, we are positive guys, although we're making aggressive music. But that's I think that goes pretty well together.
You need to do a tour with Archspire, because those guys are like a phenomenal tech death band, but like they are the goofiest, funniest human beings you'll ever meet in your life. I can't stop laughing when I'm at their shows. It's like the bridge between a full on brutal death metal show and a comedy skit. It's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Archspire.
yeah, yeah. They're from
Okay, where are
Canada.
they from? Are they from America?
They're from Canada.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Really,
Okay.
really great. Listen to Relentless Mutation. It's a great death metal album. Yeah,
I will.
yeah.
I will check them out.
But with bands that do like have a sense of humor, that's great. That you don't like that you manage to keep it fun. But I do find the music very technically impressive. Like I remember first listening to Fleshhammer Prophecy and like being like, wow, this is hard to play. Like it's very well written, and it's very technically impressive. So is there ever kind of like maybe a moment of seriousness in order to be able to achieve your technical excellence in a way?
Sure, there are certain parts that are a challenge, and that where we struggle a bit, to get them played properly. But that's part of the whole death metal thing. It's like death metal is challenging music, as well for the musician as for the listener, and it's not always easygoing. And so there are certain parts that are pretty hard to play and where you have to practice more. And but like in our age, we're like all around 40 or a little bit older, and um, when you have like a proper life, with family and job and all this stuff, you don't find the time to rehearse as often as you should, or as you did back in the days when you were 20. You didn't have shit to do and could like practice guitar all day. Um, so it's a little harder for us to stay in shape when it comes to the technical point. But yeah, this is why we really have to choose songs very carefully for the live sets, and we're not able to spontaneously throw in something like Feasting on the Decomposed, which is a super hard to play song. That song is really hard, and we really have to prepare stuff like that for live shows.
Yeah, absolutely. And the live energy, especially with death metal. I mean, I love listening to death metal, but death metal, the best experience to have with it is at a live show. Whether I'm seeing Morbid Angel or Cannibal Corpse or Obituary, or even like a tech death band like Obscura or something like that, like the live energy is where it's at. So I almost feel like when it's not just writing the songs, but it almost seems like it, maybe kind of like a silly way of putting it, but do you almost feel like when you're practicing for the live setting, there's almost kind of like a choreography that kind of goes into it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the more you go on tour, and the more often you play one set, you get your own, as you say, choreography going. Like you start making certain movements on certain parts because it works in the flow that you have on stage and stuff like that. Absolutely. And yeah, as you said, like death metal is about live shows. So live shows is what I miss the most at the moment. And we haven't played a single show for 1 year now, and it's terrible. And I just need to get back on any stage. Just give me a stage and I go up there and play whatever. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, we'll enter the best era of live music when this shit is over, though, I feel.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
As long as the clubs survive this crisis.
Yeah. And, I'm sure there'll be a wave of new ones that do rise from the ashes as well, because there will be a demand for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Kind of going back into like the history of Endseeker, because I know that like a lot of the members did come from other projects, like you coming from Buried in Black, for example, and like, members coming from Devastator and, so many other bands. Like, was maybe like the original idea of Endseeker was maybe to combine all of your previous projects into like one sort of concoction, or was the goal for Endseeker to do something that none of you have ever really dabbled into before?
Yeah, the second thing you said.
Mm-hmm.
It's the band started off with Yuri and Kumar, so the drummer and the other guitarist. They played in shit tons of bands together before, and they always wanted to make a death metal band in the Swedish kind of style, but they never did. And at a certain point they did, and then they were looking for other people to chime in, and they found Eggert, our bass player, who I played with in Buried in Black before, and Lenny, our singer, who also sings in Devastator, and he still does, so the band is still existing. And me, I was recruited last. I think like the first 5 songs or whatever for the EP, they were already done. And they were looking for a second guitarist. And Eggert remembered me, like, because we were playing in Bird in Black before, but that was like some years ago already. And he called me up saying, hey, I have this new death metal project. You want to step in? And I was like, yeah, well, let me check this out. And he sent me the demos, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And so I auditioned, and yeah, the rest is history. So because I always loved this Swedish death metal sound, and me too, I always wanted to play in a project that has this sound, and suddenly they showed up and had these killer songs there and stuff, and everything was ready to go, and I was like, this is great, I have to do this.
Yeah, it was like more like At the Gates or The Haunted or like Arch Enemy, around that sort of like style you were taking inspiration from.
With Endseeker,
Yeah,
it's like more Entombed, Dismember, Grave, stuff like that. Morbid Angel, Bolt Thrower. So this, I think, the Gorefest. Those are probably the main influences for us. Yeah.
okay, because I thought like I feel like Endseeker is almost kind of like a smorgasbord of death metal, because like I see like I feel like people who grew up with Once Upon a Cross by Deicide will appreciate it, but people who grew up with Slaughter of the Soul by At the Gates could also appreciate it, or people who grew up with with like The Sound of Perseverance by Death, for example. I feel like it does kind of have like multiple aspects of technical death metal, like a more thrashy death metal, and even some melody incorporated in there.
Oh, that's cool. Thanks. We try to stay like open-minded, and we also try to keep our music a little bit open and not like regulate ourselves too badly. We want to take our influences from all the stuff that we hear and try to put it into the Swedish overall theme that we have going. But yeah, I mean, we don't want to be a copy band, we want to be like our own kind of thing. So we just try to take everything that we like and make this our own with a Swedish sound and mostly Swedish song structures. But as you said, like we have a lot of American death metal influences in our music, and I think you can hear that, but I think it's still okay. And hopefully like people are open-minded too, and are like willing to find out if there's something in there that they like.
Yeah, absolutely. And like when people say like, oh, when people say this band is from Sweden, for some reason people always think that they sound like In Flames, but like I mean it's so like music from Sweden, like just the metal music in itself, like Meshuggah sounds very different from Cult of Luna, which sounds very different from At the Gates, which sounds very different from Dark Tranquility, which sounds very different from Blindside. So like I feel like, the people say we took Swedish influences. I'm just like, which one? There's a lot. Did you take
Okay,
influence from ABBA?
so in, in our context, when I talk about Swedish influences, I definitely talk about the Swedish death metal from the early '90s, especially from the Stockholm scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they had that sound. Gothenburg sound was something different, but still they had great bands and great records and whatever, So we also love this. But when it comes to the guitar sound, that's Stockholm.
Yeah. For your guitar work, is there a theoretical element that you follow, or like a form of training that plays into your style, or are you completely self-taught?
Oh, I had guitar lessons when I was, I don't know, 11 years old or something, like classical guitar, Um, and the rest, when I switched over to the electric guitar, I was a huge Metallica fan back then, as a young teenager, and I bought these songbooks, the tabs, and I just played through the first four Metallica albums, like back and forth, like a motherfucker, and that's basically where, like, what I practiced when it comes to metal when I was younger. Of course, later, like, different other influences came in and stuff, and I played all kinds of stuff. But I pretty early I started writing my own songs, and I didn't spend too much time on technical practicing, So I'm not a good solo guitarist, Soloing is not really my thing. I can do a little bit, but not on an impressive kind of scale. I'm more the chugging guy. I'm more the rhythm guitarist, and I like to riff around and stuff. And but I don't try to go too crazy on it, because when we play live shows, I want to be able to move. I want the riffs to be in a way that I'm still able to goof around, do my thing, put on a show, and not just stand around and stare at my neck, 'Cause I think that's kind of boring. When I see a show, I want the people to move.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I feel like the music has the ability to make people move as well. And what's funny is because we talked about kind of like your influences and all that, but I feel like for a diehard like Endseeker fan, people who have followed you now since since the first EP or whatever, like I think a fan would be able to tell what like if they listen to a portion of an Endseeker song, that would be off of Fleshhammer Prophecy, or that would be off of The Harvest, or that would be off this new album Mount Carcass. So it's fair to say that like maybe as you further explored, that maybe you've developed new tricks and twists, and may have taken a new approach with each album, right? Or evolved in ways that brought some new elements into Endseeker, right?
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, if that wouldn't happen, that would be kind of sad, right? I mean, like, everybody wants to move somehow forward or evolve and develop, and so do we as individuals and as a band as well. We grow together. We know how things work for us, and then we find new ways to be creative in that cosmos.
Hmm. When it comes to like the songwriting process, do you maybe find it easier to come up with new ideas for Endseeker maybe when you're like alone in isolation? Like isolation's a great source for creativity. Or do you prefer to come up with new ideas when you're in the company of your other bandmates?
Normally, when we write songs, it's a Yuri or me who comes up with something that we worked on at home. So we're recording stuff, like riffs, ideas, whatever, and try to put it together to small demos of a very, very rough song structure. And then we take it to the rehearsal room and show it to the others. And then we just start working on it together, So, okay, how does it work? How does it feel with real drums and not programmed drums? And maybe the whole thing gets a totally different twist after a while because it didn't work out. But so the actual like arrangement and stuff like that's happening in the rehearsal room. But the finding ideas and riffs and stuff, that's taking place at home.
Okay. So it's kind of like the bridge between like you have time to yourselves to come up with some new ideas, but it's also very
Right.
collaborative. Like you have like the
Right.
perfect dichotomy.
Yeah, I mean that's the good thing about today's technology. You know, you can easily record pretty good demos at home. I mean, the demos that I record here at home sound like a million times better than the first recordings that I did as a teenager. You know, when we were like whatever working around with Tascam 4-track recorders and stuff and miking up everything in our rehearsal room. It still sounded like crap, but today it's super easy, so you get a very good impression of what this might sound later on when you really work this out as a band.
Yeah, you know, like a lot of people like to like, and to a degree, I see what their argument is. Like, you know, technology, you know, auto tune, you know, it diminishes skill set, it undermines, you know, it makes anybody easy, or it's too easy with this. I'm like, but think about how much easier it is to give people to present new ideas and to get art to people. I think with everything that technology, with every bad aspect of technology, there's also been a lot of great aspects with it as well.
Absolutely, it brings a lot of opportunities.
Yep.
So I really like that, and the comfort is just amazing. You know, it's great. It was a struggle back then to record anything, and now it's super easy, and I can be more creative in shorter time with better results.
Yeah, and
Great.
and I wonder like how many like classic rock albums that may have been able to be hits or be legendary albums, like, you know, as classic as it got. I do wonder how many more we would have had they had the resources or technology that they had back then.
That's a good question. Who knows? We will never know.
Yeah, I've always said there's a place called Riff Hell, which is where all the forgotten riffs are just emerging.
Yeah, I think there are a bunch of mine too. I mean, like back in the days, I could remember every riff that I ever wrote. You know, like I wrote something, and like 3 days later, I still could play it. And now I really have to set up my phone and film myself while I'm jamming. You know, just to remember the riff that I played like 5 minutes ago. It's terrible.
Yeah, that
Getting old is terrible.
Yeah, that is the one bad aspect of technology, that like the attention spans and everything is terrible. Some people have the attention span of a raisin. So
Absolutely. I cannot even remember telephone numbers, you know. And I used to have like 30, 40 telephone numbers in my head when I was a teenager.
yeah, yeah. And back in my day, we used to have to write them down on a piece of paper.
Oh, crazy.
I know. I know. Well, I'm an old school music lover. I still buy my music on iTunes like a real music lover. People tell me about these things called CDs. I don't know what those are anymore, but yeah.
I'm just buying vinyl, to be honest. So of course, I use streaming services because when I'm on the road, whatever, you know, I want to listen to music and I don't want to like drag around my record collection. So I think like streaming services are a great way to support your artist that you like, because it gives them at least a small share, and it helps to spread their music throughout the world, because the more the music gets played on the streaming platforms, the algorithm like puts it out to other people who might never have heard about the band before. So it's a great way to find new bands and new music. But when I really like something, I definitely buy the vinyl. Although I know that the CD technically sounds better, but the listening experience of a vinyl record is something different, because you have to pay attention. You have to turn it over, you know, after 20 minutes, and you just cannot forget about it and let it play. You have to care about it, and that's the aspect that I like.
Yeah, it would be cool though if maybe they had like vinyl record players inside cars. So like you could like where the radio was, you could just open up your car thing and put that in there. Probably get like 10 more.
It actually existed. My dad told me when he had his first car, which was like a Volkswagen Beetle back, like, I don't know, 2,000 years ago, and it had a record player in there. There was like, I don't know, level on springs or whatever, so it didn't shake, and you could play 7-inch records on that.
That's awesome. I just hope.
How absolutely cool is that?
That's incredible. Just I can only imagine how many accidents could potentially happen with that. But
you're changing the record,
yeah. As long
well,
as
this was way less traffic back then, right?
yeah, of course. And the final question I wanted to ask you is just before we go. I mean, with the brand new album, Mount Carcass, coming out this April, is there anything that you would like to promote in terms of like new merch, or like, I know it's not as good as the real thing, but like maybe a live stream performance just to hold people over, maybe get a feel of this material live, just so we could brace ourselves for impact when shows return, or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a record release live streaming concert on April 18th going on, and you can get tickets in our online shop or at the website of the Knust Hamburg, which is the venue that we're playing in. And actually, this is the first streaming show that we ever played, because we refused all offers last year. We didn't want to play streaming shows because we thought like, well, death metal show in an empty club with just cameras. I don't know if that works. And so we focused on the songwriting thing, as I said before. But now, like, the record is coming out and we have to play. We just want to play. And then we decided, okay, let's set this up. And we're just working out like a pretty cool concept of making the show a little bit more interactive for the viewers, not just us going on stage and play for an hour and that's it. So we want to have some interaction with the viewers, and we want to make it as entertaining as possible, so that everybody, us and the viewers and everybody, has a great experience and a nice evening of like enjoying music and having fun. And so I hope a lot of people just watch it and be part of this and interact with us, and that would be great.
Are you responsible for any furniture that gets broken in any viewer's living room?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, but we do encourage that. Make it as interactive as possible.
Yeah, smash your furniture, destroy your homes. It's awesome. It's great.
Well, I had a theory with these live stream shows, and maybe it's me being too overly optimistic, but obviously this is not going to last forever. Concerts are going to return again, and, we'll look back at this 10, 15 years from now as, like, the era where shows couldn't happen. So I wonder if maybe, like, these live streamed concerts, because there are cool things that people have done with it, like Behemoth's concert was really cool, Suicide Silence had a really cool one, Trivium did, that, like, maybe these would be like rarities, as maybe like a part of like one of those hidden B-side things that bands like put out there that you need to go on a scavenger hunt from, like the era of no shows, where like I just feel like that these live stream performances could go down being like worth something in the future.
Probably. I think this is like the heritage of this pandemic. It's like one thing that everybody will remember. There was a period where bands couldn't play live shows and we had to play on the internet. And like, I don't know, maybe in 10 years, we sit there, oh yeah, man, do you remember how crazy that was? And let's watch that concert again of whatever, whatever band.
Yeah, just so like if somebody had a bad experience at one concert or whatever, like, they weren't like happy with the show or whatever, that like maybe they could look back at that and be like, all right, well, it's still better than watching it on a couch in my living room.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But I do see them being worth something in the future, like a historical moment.
Yeah, we see, but I think you're right. I think this is historical, is definitely. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ben, for your time today. It was great to be able to talk to you. Everybody, Endseeker, Mount Carcass, coming out via Metal Blade Records this April. Be sure to pick it up then. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We will see you next time.